All right, today we're going to be making some fermented ginger carrots. Something I saw online. I tried it out. It wasn't too bad. It's a pretty good little snack, and it's good for the gut health. It's probiotic because of the fermentation. Um, you can use the fresh ginger that I've already got cut up. This is what I use in my ginger bug, but I'm actually going to be using ginger that is excess from my ginger bug. All right, I'm back. Had to let the dog out. But I'm using the fermented ginger. I had excess ginger from my ginger bug, and it was getting full because every day in my ginger bug I add, ginger and sugar. And I will link the video. I have a short where I show you how to make a ginger bug, so I will link that in this video. But we're going to use about a quart of the carrots. We're going to cut up some carrots and just about fill this all the way up. And it'll be about a quarter cup of the ginger that I'm going to use. You can grate it, you can chop it up. I'm just going to use this chopped up ginger. And then we're going to make a brine using the salt. So about 1 tablespoon of salt to about a quart of water. Now you want, for fermentation, you want about 2% to 2 to 5% or whatever salt. And they say per weight. I don't have a kitchen scale, so I did some quick calculations, and I looked online as well. And roughly for about a quart of fermented product, the weight of that, you're going to, with the pickling salt or kosher salt, which weighs about the same, it's going to be just about a tablespoon of that. So, or 3 teaspoons is what I saw, which 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So we've got the brine there. Let's go ahead and mix that salt into the water, get it dissolved in there. All right, and we'll be using that. I'm going to go ahead and cut up some carrots. Now, I'm not going to, I did wash these, but we're not peeling them. So we'll be cutting them up. And you cut them up however you want. Last time I cut them like this. This time I'm going to cut them lengthways and into little spears. Okay. All right. So I cut up my carrots. There's a little bit of space left in there. We're going to put the ginger in there. We do want a little bit of headspace left. We'll put a fermentation weight on it, and we got to put the brine in there as well still. But you could use the fresh ginger that you already got cut up. With the ginger and the brine, the salt, it actually inhibits the growth of the bad bacteria while letting the good bacteria grow, letting it ferment. That's why we do the salt. But by me using the ginger from my ginger bug, I'm basically giving it a head start. I've already got some fermentation going on in here, so it's going to go a little bit quicker than if I just went with the fresh ginger and the brine alone. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm not using the fresh ginger. I'm going to use some of my fermented ginger, and I'll go ahead and put that in there. Give it a little shake around, let it kind of drop in there a little bit. All right. And we can give it just a little bit of the liquid as well. That will help it to ferment. All right, now I'm taking my water from my brine and adding it on in there. Now, notice I didn't use all the water, so I didn't use quite all the salt. I can add just a little bit more salt in there to make it the 2% total weight. That adds a little bit to the flavor as well, giving it a saltier flavor. If you like saltier foods, you can add just a little bit more. You just don't want to exceed about 5%, then you'll stop the fermentation. But about 2.5% is what you're shooting for normally. All right. Less if you like less salt, if you don't want all the salt, then using something like the ginger bug to kick off the fermentation will work instead of applying the salt. Right. Now we've got our ginger in there, our brine in there. I'm going to actually add a lid real quick, just so I can shake it up. Get it kind of mixed up there a little bit. Close that up. Let's get it mixed in there. Get some of the ginger down in there. A little bit more. All right, we got it all stirred up. Take this lid off. Now, got my fermentation weight. That's to keep all the carrots and the ginger down below the brine. All right. And fermentation lid. You got a little place. Now you can use a lid like this, but you do want to check it and burp it just about every day. Otherwise, you might have an explosion in your cupboard. I was using this when I first started and making sure I did burp it every day. But now I've got the fermentation lids, and this will let the gas escape without letting oxygen back in. So you add water to this here. Up to the level it says. Put that in. And there we go. And then in about 3, 4, 5 days, you will have fermented ginger carrots. Now mine will probably take a little bit less because I started it with the ginger and the ginger bug that's already, fermenting. But even if you're just using the straight brine and the fresh ginger and the fresh carrots, in about 3 to 5 days, you'll start to see little bubbles forming, and that is the fermentation. Now, you can let it ferment. Once you start seeing a ferment, you let it go for a day or two more. You can go, the longer you go, the more the funky fermentation flavor it's going to get. Think of like your sauerkraut flavor. It's going to get that little bit of sourness, that little funky flavor, and that's their fermentation flavor. The last batch I did, I let them sit for, and I did it with the ginger bug as well. And I let them ferment for about 5 days. And then once I had let them ferment for 5 days, I just, started snacking on them, whatever, but I just simply removed this, and then I would store it in my fridge. But still storing in the fridge, I left the lid a little bit loose. So that way, because the fridge will slow down the fermentation, but it will not stop it entirely. So you can still, it still can build up some pressure in your fridge. So it's best to check it. Even when it's done fermenting, when you're done and you put it in the fridge, it's best to either not seal the lid all the way, or to just continue to check it and burp it once in a while, just so you don't have a nice little explosion. Okay, so now we got our ginger carrots in here. I just wanted to add one more thing. You store this not in direct sunlight for the fermentation process. Put it in your pantry. As you can see, I've got some other stuff fermenting here. This is a probiotic soda I made from using juice and a ginger bug, and I can probably in the future I will have a video on that as well. I've made this a few times and it comes out pretty good. But keep this out of direct sunlight. You can go on the countertop like I'm doing, in your pantry, something like that. But remember, if you don't have the fermentation top, if you don't have something to let the gas escape, and you have to burp it, put it somewhere where you don't forget about it, and you have an explosion that you have to clean up. I did the first time I was making the sodas. I was using a lid like this, and I had them tight, forgot to burp it, and it did push the lid out. It wasn't enough. I didn't let it go long enough to actually explode, but I came in my kitchen in the morning and I heard psst, couldn't figure out what it was, looked over, and the lid was pushed all the way out, and it was, the pressure was built up to the point that it was hissing. So I burped it real quick and then learned my lesson on that. But once again, if you found this video to your liking, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and we'll have more like this and other topics, whatever random ideas that I come up with, the different things that I see online and try out. We'll see what's coming up in the future.